The strange signal Jake was just an ordinary man, living an ordinary life. He worked as a mechanic in a small dusty town, fixing broken machines and old cars. He didn't talk much and didn't have many friends. People called him quiet, maybe even a little strange, but Jake liked it that way. One night, while working late in his garage, Jake's old radio came alive on its own. It made a strange noise, like a mix of static and music from another world. The sound wasn't normal. It felt alive. Jake walked over to turn it off, but before he could touch it, he froze. His head started spinning. His heart beat faster. And then, a sharp pain hit his nose. Blood dripped down, but it wasn't red. For just a second, it was blue. Bright glowing blue. He wiped it quickly, blinking in shock. As he stared at the glowing blood on his hand, it turned back to normal red, as if nothing had happened. Jake looked around. The radio was silent now. The garage was quiet again. Only the sound of his heavy breathing filled the air. What the hell was that? He whispered to himself. He thought he was tired. Maybe just overworked. He cleaned the blood and tried to forget. But that night, sleep didn't come easily. When it finally did, the dreams came. In his dream, he saw a tall woman with silver eyes and glowing skin. She stood on a dark hill looking at him. Behind her, the sky was purple, filled with 2 moons and flying ships. She didn't speak, but Jake felt like he knew her, like she was calling to him. He woke up sweating, heart racing. Morning light came through the window, but everything felt wrong. The dream didn't feel like a dream, it felt like a memory. For the next few days, the same things happened. The radio would play strange sounds at night. The dreams would return. And every time he heard the signal, his body reacted. Goosebumps, heat in his veins, sometimes even glowing marks on his arms that disappeared before he could take a picture. No one believed him when he tried to talk about it. His friend Max laughed it off. "Maybe you're just watching too many alien movies," he joked. But Jake knew something was happening. Something real. One evening, he felt a strong pull in his chest, like something was calling him from the forest outside town. He tried to ignore it, but the pull got stronger. It felt like gravity, like his own blood wanted to go there. So he followed it. He walked deep into the woods. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and pink. Birds flew away as he passed, and everything went strangely silent. Then, in a small clearing, he saw it. A circle of light appeared above the ground. Blue and white sparks danced in the air. Then, a spaceship landed silently in front of him. Smooth metal, tall and glowing with strange symbols. Jake stepped back, shocked. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The ship opened. Stairs unfolded. And from the light inside, a figure walked down. She was tall. Her hair floated like it had no weight. Her skin shimmered like starlight, and her silver eyes locked onto his. "You came," she said softly. "Your blood called to me." Jake couldn't move. He couldn't speak. The woman stepped closer. "You don't know who you are yet, do you?" He shook his head slowly. "You are one of the rare ones, chosen by blood. Your loyalty is ancient, and now we need you. Who are you?" Jake finally asked, his voice barely a whisper. She smiled. "I am Princess Elira of the Zetharian Empire, and your blood, it reeks of loyalty. It's why I'm here." Before Jake could respond, the ground shook. A loud sound echoed in the sky. The ship's lights turned red. Alarms rang out. "They've found us," Elira said, turning back to the ship. "We have to go, now." "Wait, who? What's going on?" But she grabbed his hand. "There's no time. If you stay here, you'll die." In that moment, Jake had a choice. Run back to his normal, quiet life, or step into a world far beyond anything he knew. He looked at her, then at the sky filled with strange lights. The pull in his chest was back, stronger than ever. He stepped forward. The ship doors closed behind him, and the world he knew was gone. The alien princess. Jake felt his feet leave the ground. The moment he stepped into the ship, gravity shifted, lights danced on the walls, and the floor beneath him hummed softly. It didn't feel like metal. It felt alive, like the ship was breathing. Princess Elira led the way through the glowing hallway. Her long silver robe flowed behind her, and the ship responded to her presence. Walls opened without a sound. Lights changed as she moved. Jake followed, heart pounding. "Where are we going?" he finally asked. Trying to sound brave, Elira didn't look back. "Somewhere safe for now." Safe from who? She stopped at a doorway. It opened silently, revealing a round room with a large window that showed the stars. Earth was already far behind. Jake stared at the blue planet. His home. Just a small dot now. Elira turned to face him. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held something deeper. Sadness, maybe even fear. "There's a war coming, Jake," she said quietly. "And you are part of it, whether you want to be or not." Jake shook his head. "I don't understand." "Why me? I'm just a mechanic." "You think you're human," she said. "But you're not. Not fully." Jake froze. "What?" "Your blood," she continued, "is from an ancient line, a forgotten warrior class called the Valiran. They were protectors of peace in the galaxy, known for one thing, unbreakable loyalty. But how? I was born on Earth. Yes. But your blood carries memories, abilities, and energy that the galaxy hasn't seen in centuries. It stayed hidden. Until now." Jake looked at his hands, suddenly unsure of himself. "So what do you want from me?" "I didn't choose you," she said, stepping closer. "Your blood chose me." Jake's mind raced with questions, but before he could speak, the room went dark. Red lights flashed. A voice echoed through the ship in a strange language. "They've found us," Elira whispered. Too soon, she touched a panel on the wall. A new door opened, leading to a narrow hallway filled with strange weapons and armor. "We're under attack?" Jake asked. "Yes. Bounty hunters. They want you dead, or worse, captured." "Why?" "Because your blood can unlock something they fear, and something they want." Elira pressed a device into Jake's hand. It looked like a metal wristband with glowing lines. "Wear this. It will protect you and test you." "Test me?" Before she could explain, the ship shook violently. Jake stumbled. Alarms blared louder. Elira's eyes glowed brighter now, full of fire. "Come with me." They ran together through the ship. Blasts hit the outer walls. Jake saw flashes through the windows. Enemy ships, fast and dark, circling, like sharks. They reached the bridge. A tall creature with 4 arms was flying the ship. It had pale skin, sharp eyes, and long scars on its face. "We need a jump now," Elira shouted. The pilot nodded and began the sequence. Jake stared at the control panels. Somehow he understood parts of it, like he had seen it before in another life. Suddenly, one of the enemy ships fired a direct hit. The shields cracked. A warning flashed. "We're not going to make it," the pilot growled. "Yes, we will," Elira said. She looked at Jake. "It's time. Place your hand here." A glowing panel opened. Without fully knowing why, Jake placed his hand on it. His palm burned for a second. Then, the entire ship changed color. Golden light spread across the walls. "He's activating the core," the pilot whispered. "It's real." The ship responded to Jake's touch. Faster than thought, it jumped, tearing through space into another galaxy. Everything went black. Jake woke up on the floor. Silence. The ship had stopped. The stars outside were different now. A new place. A new sky. Elira helped him up. "You did it," she said, eyes full of awe. What was that?" "The jump core. Only a true Valiran can use it. Even I couldn't." "So what now?" he asked, voice shaking. Elira looked out the window. "Now, we find out what else is hidden inside you." Before Jake could respond, a strange beep echoed from the wall. A hologram flickered on. A figure appeared, half human, half machine. Its voice was cold and robotic. "You can run, princess, but he belongs to us." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "Who was that?" he asked. Alira's face hardened. "A shadow from the past. Someone who should have died long ago." "He knew me." "Yes," she said. "Because he helped. Destroy your people." Jake looked at her, eyes wide. "Then I'm the last?" Alira nodded. "Yes, the last Valyran." Escape to the stars, Jake stood in silence as the hologram disappeared, leaving behind a chilling echo. "He belongs to us." Those words repeated in his head like a curse. He didn't know who the half-machine man was, but something deep inside him remembered that voice. A voice from a forgotten war. A voice tied to his blood. Princess Alira turned to Jake, her expression serious. "We need to leave this sector immediately. If he's found us, it means others will too." Jake nodded, slowly. "Who was he?" Alira stared out into the stars. "His name is Sorix, a former general of the Empire, once loyal until he was wounded in battle and rebuilt himself with forbidden tech. Now he's more machine than man, and completely obsessed with power." "And me?" Jake asked. "Why does he want me?" Alira hesitated. "Because your blood holds the one thing that can stop him, the key to the ancient vault." "Vault?" "Yes," she whispered. "A weapon so powerful it was hidden by your ancestors. Only a true Valyran can open it. Sorix has been hunting for someone like you for decades." Jake swallowed hard. "So this is bigger than me?" "Much bigger," she said. "The Empire is broken. The rebels are rising. And in the middle of it all is you." The ship repaired itself slowly, systems humming back to life. The pilot, called Vec, a grumpy four-armed alien, checked the controls. "Warp drive's damaged," Vec said. "We can't jump again." "Then we go old school," Alira said. "We fly to the Starforge station." Jake raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "A neutral space hub," Alira explained. "Part market, part battlefield, part graveyard. If we're lucky, we'll find allies there. If not, we'll die trying." Jake laughed nervously. "You're really good at making me feel calm, you know that?" Alira smirked. "You'll get used to it." As the ship glided through space, Jake spent his time exploring. The ship was unlike anything he'd seen, full of moving walls, glowing panels, and living tech. In a quiet chamber, he found something strange. A chamber with a chair, half machine, half organic, surrounded by symbols glowing in the air. As he stepped closer, the room reacted to him. Symbols floated down and touched his skin. Visions hit him like a storm. He saw battles, planets burning. A younger version of himself, dressed in silver armor, standing beside Alira on a battlefield. They were allies. Maybe more than that. He saw a sword, huge, ancient, floating in space, sealed inside a vault of light. He felt a voice call out from within it. "You are not the last. You are the beginning." He gasped and fell back. The symbols faded. The room went silent. "You okay?" Alira's voice came from the doorway. Jake looked up. "I think I just saw a past life." Alira nodded. "Good. It means your memories are waking up." They reached Starforge Station 6 hours later. It was massive. An old mining colony turned into a floating city full of smugglers, traders, and spies. Ships of all kinds docked there. From Golden Royal, cruisers to rusty pirate wrecks. Inside, the air smelled of oil, metal, and secrets. Alira wore a hood. Jake kept his glowing wristband hidden. "Stay close," she said. "Don't trust anyone." As they walked through the crowded halls, Jake noticed something. People were staring. Some nodded with respect. Others moved away in fear. "They know me?" Jake asked. "They know your blood," Alira said. "The loyal blood glows in ways they can feel, even if they don't understand why." Suddenly, an explosion shook the floor. Alarms rang out. "Ambush!" Vec shouted over the comm. Get out of there! Masked warriors appeared from the shadows, the Black Sun clan, hired killers working for Sorix. Run! Alira yelled. They raced through the station, dodging laser blasts and flying debris. Jake ducked behind a pillar, panting. What do we do now? Alira looked at him. Fight. She tossed him a weapon. It lit up the moment he touched it, reacting to his blood. A glowing blade formed in his hand, pulsing with power. Your ancestors didn't just defend the galaxy, Alira said. They were born for war. Jake stood up, the blade humming in his grip. And when the next attacker came, he moved like he'd done it 1,000 times. A spin, a strike, a clean hit. His eyes widened. I knew how to do that. You're training lives inside you, Alira said. You're awakening. After the battle, they made it back to the ship, burns, bruises, and answers. Inside, Vec handed them a device he had found during the escape. This was planted on you, he said to Jake. A tracker. Alira's face turned pale. That means, before she could finish, a shadow fell over the ship. A massive black cruiser appeared outside, blocking all stars. Sorix had arrived. A new message blinked onto their screen. You can't run forever, Bloodchild. Surrender, or watch this galaxy burn. The rebel Zone Sorix's black cruiser blocked the stars like a monster in the night sky. Its engines growled like thunder, and red lights flickered across its hull like angry eyes. Inside Jake's chest, something twisted, a feeling he didn't recognize. Was it fear or rage? Vec's voice broke the silence. He's locking weapons. We don't have long. Alira didn't flinch. She stood tall in the ship's control room, eyes fixed on the massive enemy vessel. We're not fighting, not here. She tapped a few symbols on the screen. A hidden map appeared, a narrow path through an old asteroid field filled with mines, wreckage, and traps. We're going through the graveyard, she said. You've gone mad, Vec growled. No one makes it through that alive. Won't follow us in, Alira said. Sorix lost half his body in there. He fears it more than death. Jake's eyes narrowed. And what's on the other side? Alira hesitated, then said softly, the rebel zone. The ship dove into the field, weaving through broken metal and frozen bodies drifting in space. Explosions from old mines lit up the dark like silent fireworks. The ship rattled. Jake held on tight. Outside, they saw shattered ships from all sides. Of the war. Empire. Rebels. Even ancient vessels from lost civilizations. This place is a grave, Jake muttered. No, Alira said. It's a warning. For a moment, Jake thought they'd made it. But just as they neared the exit, something hit them. Not a weapon. A signal. A new one. The ship slowed on its own. The walls began to glow faint green. Jake's wristband lit. Up. Symbols appeared again, floating in the air around him. What is this? He gasped. A memory gate, Alira said. Your ancestors left them across the galaxy, places where your blood is tested. Jake touched the nearest symbol. His body froze. He saw images, a palace in flames, Alira screaming, a younger Jake standing over a dead emperor. A rebellion, started by him. He stumbled back, heart racing. That was me? Alira looked away. A past version of you. The war we're in now, you helped start it centuries ago. Why didn't you tell me? Because you don't remember why you did it, and I need to know. If this version of you is still loyal. Those words hit Jake like a blade. Do you even trust me? He asked. Alira didn't answer. The ship finally escaped the graveyard and entered the rebel zone. The stars here were dimmer. Planets cracked. Ships moved in silence, and everywhere, eyes watched. A rebel patrol stopped them. A tall man appeared on the screen. Scars down one side of his face, armor made from scraps, and a voice like stone. Princess Alira, he said coldly. You must be lost. Elira smiled politely. General Kine, always a pleasure. Jake noticed the tension. You two know each other? We fought side by side. Until we didn't, Kine said, eyes narrowing. And who's the human? He's Valiran, she replied. He has the key. That changed everything. Kane's face went pale. Dock at Outpost 9, but if you try anything, this zone becomes your tomb. Inside the rebel base, things were different. No gold, no glowing lights, just metal walls, weapon racks, and people who'd seen too many wars. Kane met them personally. You bring the last Valiran here, after all these years, and expect what? Thanks? Elira was calm. I expect nothing, just safety, and answers. Kane turned to Jake. Do you know how many of my people were killed by the Empire? By her family? Jake didn't answer. You think she's your friend? Kane growled. Look deeper, bloodchild. Her father ordered the destruction of the Valiran. Your people, not Sorix, not rebels, her bloodline. Jake looked at Elira. Is that true? She didn't deny it. My father was emperor. He saw your kind as a threat. I was a child then. Kane stepped closer. And you think she changed? She wants to use you just like the rest of them. Stop, Jake said quietly. I'm not a weapon. Not anymore. That night Jake sat alone. Memories swirled in his mind. His past life, the rebellion, the betrayal. His loyalty was torn between blood and truth. Elira entered the room quietly. You hate me now? She said softly. I don't know what to think, Jake replied. Every side lies. Every side kills. I never lied about needing you, she said. But yes, my father did terrible things. And maybe so did I. But I'm not him. And you're not who you were either. Then who am I? Jake asked. She stepped forward and touched his hand. You're the last piece, the last hope. And maybe the one who can unite us all. Just then, alarms blared through the base. Vex's voice came through the comm. We've got incoming. Not Empire, not rebels. Something else. Outside, the window, a new fleet appeared. Ships shaped like knives. Glowing red engines. No symbols. No flags. Elira's face turned pale. No, it can't be. Jake stood up. Who are they? She whispered one word. The Voidborn. The final choice, the war room pulsed with strange energy. Jake stood frozen. Kane held the black crystal in his hand, its surface swirling like liquid night. It wasn't just a tool. It was alive. It pulsed with whispers. You are not the hero, Kane said. You are the vault. Those words shattered everything Jake thought he knew. Memories crashed through him like waves. In his first life, he wasn't just a soldier. He was the guardian of the vault, the living seal that kept the Voidborn inside. His body was made of flesh, his blood made of loyalty. But his soul was forged in the heart of the vault itself. And now, the seal was breaking. Elira entered behind him, eyes wide. She could feel the shift, the power rising inside Jake like a storm. He's not lying, she whispered. You knew, Jake said, not as a question, but as a truth. Not fully, she replied. But I felt it, your energy. It was more than just Valiran. Kane stepped forward. The Voidborn didn't escape. They were released, slowly, because the seal, you, started to wake up again, started to remember. Why me? Jake asked, his voice rough. Why was I made this way? Because only loyalty can hold chaos, Kyan said. But now, your loyalty is cracking. And when that happens, the walls trembled. Outside the station, the Voidborn began to move, not attacking, but gathering, as if waiting for something. Waiting. For him. Elira pulled out a weapon and pointed it at Kine. You've played your part, she said. Step away. Kane didn't resist. He smiled. You don't understand. The choice was never mine. Or yours. It's always been his. He looked at Jake. Unlock the vault, and become what you were made to be. Or seal it, and destroy the last piece of yourself. A blast rocked the base. Vec's voice screamed through the intercom. They're inside. The Voidborn have breached the lower decks, soldiers scrambled. Red lights lit the halls. But Jake didn't move. His heart wasn't in the fight anymore. He was the fight. Alira turned to him. Jake, listen to me. You're still human. You still have a choice. Jake looked at his hands. They were glowing now, lines of energy flowing through his skin like cracks in glass. He could feel the vault inside him. Not a place, but a power. And it was opening. His blood hummed. His heart slowed. His mind went silent. Then he saw a vision. A future. Two versions. One, the vault opened and Jake became something else. His eyes black. His voice no longer human. He ruled the Voidborn and planets burned in his name. Two, the vault sealed forever. Jake's body turned to crystal, his soul locked inside. The Voidborn vanished. The galaxy survived. But he was gone, forever. This isn't fair, Jake said. Alira placed her hand on his chest. No destiny ever is. He looked at her, really looked, and he remembered everything. Her sister, his first love, his death. Alira finding his remains, bringing him back, not to use him, to redeem him. The ground shook violently. A hole ripped through the station's roof. The Void King descended, massive, faceless, made of shadows and stars. His voice echoed in every mind. You are ours. Come to us, Vault Child. End this waiting. Unlock what was broken. Jake stepped forward. Kane dropped to his knees. It's time. Alira raised her weapon. Don't listen. Jake closed his eyes and chose. Blue light exploded from his body, but not the color of power, the color of memory. Visions spread across the room. Jake's childhood, his love, his death, his resurrection. Every memory, every loyalty, every sacrifice, offered freely. The Void King screamed. The Voidborn cracked like glass. They couldn't feed on him. They couldn't twist him, because Jake had chosen to be loyal to life. He wasn't a weapon. He wasn't a vault. He was the lock. He raised his hands and sealed the Voidborn forever, not with violence, but with memory. The sky cleared. The void ships turned to ash. Kane vanished. A final whisper left. Behind, you chose death over power. That's why they'll remember you. Weeks passed. The galaxy healed. Not fully, but enough. In a quiet corner of the stars, Jake stood with Alira aboard a new ship. No longer prince. Not a god. Not a soldier. Just a man. And for the first time, truly free. She turned to him and smiled. You did it? Jake nodded. No. We did. Blood memory. The sky above the rebel base turned black. Not night. This was something else, something unnatural. Ships shaped like daggers hung in the sky, silent and still. Their design didn't match anything Jake had seen. They didn't fly, like ships. They floated like they were alive, pulsing slowly like hearts made of metal. Who are they? Jake asked, his voice a whisper. They're called the Voidborn, Alira said, her voice tight. They don't serve the Empire or the rebels or anyone. Then what do they want? Alira looked at Jake, her eyes full of something Jake had never seen in her before. Fear. You. The rebel base shook with panic. Soldiers ran to defense points. Alarm lights blinked across the halls. But the Voidborn didn't attack. Not yet. They just watched. Vec, standing by the ship's console, cursed. They're scanning the station, and not for weapons, for him. Jake felt it. A strange pressure in his skull. Not pain, but a deep pulling. Like something was trying to open him. Not his body, his mind. He stumbled back. The room spun. The wristband on his arm glowed again, hotter this time, brighter. Then he heard a voice, not spoken, not out loud, a whisper inside his thoughts. You are not awake yet, bloodchild. But we are coming. And when we do, your memory will burn. Jake collapsed. The world around him faded. Inside the memory, he stood in a field of silver grass under twin moons. A battlefield, silent now, broken blades, fallen flags. And before him, a younger version of himself wearing silver armor, eyes glowing blue. The younger Jake spoke without moving his mouth. You broke the code. You betrayed the Empire for love, for peace, and they called you traitor. You started the first spark of rebellion. And you hid the truth inside your blood. Jake shook his head. What truth? The vault is not a weapon. It is a prison. The Voidborn were locked inside it. By you. And now, your blood is the only key to open it, or seal it forever. Jake fell to his knees. Then why are they after me? Because if they can control you, they control the vault. And if the vault opens, the memory ended in a flash of white. Jake woke up screaming. Alira knelt beside him, her hand on his chest. What did you see? His voice shook. They were locked inside the vault. I helped seal them away, long ago. And now they want me to open it. The room went silent. General Kane stepped forward, eyes narrowed. So you're the reason they're here. Jake didn't argue. We can't protect him anymore, Kane said. They'll tear this base apart just to get him. Then let them come, Jake said. I'm not running anymore. Alira looked at him carefully. Your memories are returning faster than expected. Jake stood up. I want all of them back now. She nodded once. There's a way, a risky one. Deep in the rebel base was an old device, half ancient, half alien, the blood chamber. It had been built by Jake's ancestors, a machine that could force open the locked parts of the Valoran mind. But only at a cost. Jake lay down inside. Metal claws closed over his arms and legs. Alira placed her hand over his chest. Once this starts, she said, there's no stopping it. Then don't stop, Jake said. Whatever I was before, I need to know. She activated the chamber. Pain hit him like a tidal wave. Not physical pain. Memory pain. 1,000 voices screamed inside his skull. He saw a woman, a different princess with golden hair, standing beside him in battle. He saw betrayal. He saw fire. He saw himself killing an emperor, then falling to his knees in guilt. He saw Alira, years later, finding his body, hiding his blood, keeping it alive. And then he saw the vault, a dark world sealed in glass and fire. Inside it, the Voidborn, screaming, trapped, twisting in the shadows. And at the center, a creature with no face, only a mouthful of stars. The Void King. It looked straight at Jake through the memory. When you remember everything, you'll break, and when you break, we are free. The chamber opened. Jake gasped, drenched in sweat. His eyes now glowed faint blue, like the ancient warriors in his visions. Vec stepped back. He's not the same. Alira looked into Jake's eyes. Do you remember who you are now? I do, Jake said, his voice deeper, stronger. I was loyal, I was betrayed, and now, I'll finish what I started. Just then, the station lights died. Outside, the Voidborn ships moved, slow, silent, ready. A single word flashed on the screen. We are here. The betrayal, the rebel station was silent. Lights flickered. Power was dying. The Voidborn ships hung outside like spiders around a dying flame. Inside the command center, Jake stood tall, eyes glowing blue, breath steady. The memories were back. Now, not all of them, but enough. He remembered the vault. He remembered the war. He remembered what the Voidborn really were. Parasites. Creatures from a dimension that fed on memory, loyalty, and trust. The very things that made the Valyran strong. And now, they had returned. And they were smarter. They weren't just trying to break in from outside. They were already inside. Alira and Vec worked quickly, restoring shields and scanners. Jake stood with General Kane going over possible escape routes, but deep down, he knew running wouldn't work anymore. The Voidborn didn't chase with ships, they chased with doubt, and soon it would find them. A coded message came through. Private channel. From a rebel scout team, Vec said. Alira opened it on the hollow screen. A man in rebel gear appeared, face bloody, eyes wide with fear. Princess, we found something. In Sector 3, a sealed vault, but it's not locked anymore. Someone opened it. The screen glitched, then went black. A vault? Jake asked, stepping forward. Alira nodded slowly. There shouldn't be one here. Not this close. Vec frowned. Unless... Kane finished the thought. Unless someone's helping them from the inside. They gathered the senior crew. No one spoke at first. Jake looked at each face carefully. Something in his blood, in his instincts, was whispering. Someone in this room was not who they seemed. Suddenly, his wristband pulsed red. Just for a moment. A warning. His eyes locked on one person. Zeke, rebel tech officer. Always quiet. Always watching. Too quiet. Where were you during the blackout? Jake asked. Zek blinked. Maintenance deck? Alone? Yes? Convenient, Kane muttered. Zek's hand twitched toward a device on his belt. Jake moved faster than thought. A blue blade appeared in his hand, summoned by instinct. He threw it like lightning. The device exploded in Zek's hand, screaming. Smoke. Chaos. When it cleared, Zek's body was already changing, skin cracking, black mist pouring out of his mouth. Not human anymore. Not even rebel. Voidborn infiltrator. How long has he been here? Vec shouted. Weeks, Alira whispered. Maybe longer. Jake stared at the writhing figure on the floor. Its voice changed. No longer Zek's. We were never locked out, Bloodchild. You opened the door the moment you remembered, and then it exploded into ash. Panic spread in the base. Who else had been turned? How many had been watching? Kane locked down all systems. No one in or out, but the damage was done. The Voidborn weren't just here for war. They were here to corrupt. That night, Jake sat alone in the observatory, his mind a storm of thoughts. How could he fight an enemy that used his memories against him? What if he opened the vault by accident? What if he already had? He heard footsteps. Alira. She sat beside him, her face tired. We were never meant to survive this, she said softly. The Valyran ended for a reason. Because they made a mistake, Jake replied. Because I made a mistake. You fell in love with a princess, she said. Not you, he said. She nodded. But she was my sister. Jake turned slowly. What? Alira's eyes shimmered. She loved you, she died for you, and my father never forgave it. That's why he erased the Valyran. He wanted to erase you. Jake stood up. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I didn't know if you would still trust me. He looked into her eyes. I don't know if I do. Before she could answer, a piercing sound tore through the base. Not from outside, from inside, Vec screamed. They ran to the ship's hangar. They found him lying in blood. Alive. Barely. He pointed toward the docking tunnel. It was Kine. What? He's one of them. Then Vec passed out. Rage exploded in Jake's chest. No, Alira whispered. Kane was our ally for years. Jake didn't wait. He stormed through the corridors, blade in hand. He found Kane in the war room, alone, calm. like he'd been expecting him. "So it's true," Jake said. Kane nodded. "Yes, it's true. You betrayed us." "No," Kane said. "I saved us." Jake raised his weapon. "You don't understand," Kane said. "You think they're the enemy. But the real enemy was never the Voidborn." Jake froze. "What do you mean?" "The Empire sealed them away, not because they were evil, but because the Voidborn knew the truth." "What truth?" Kane smiled. "That the vault doesn't just imprison them, it imprisons something worse. And when you open it, it won't just be the Voidborn that comes out." He stepped back. A glowing black crystal appeared in his hand. "It will be you."